Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jason Maganoy. I am the publisher of Canadian Business Magazine, and today we are with Stephen Murphy. As the group head, commercial, personal, and wealth at Canadian Western Bank, Stephen provides oversight of CWB's national banking and wealth teams, as well as specialized commercial lending teams in commercial real estate, corporate lending, CWB Maximum Financial, and CWB Franchise Finance. He also oversees enterprise strategy and certain support teams and operations. He plays a central role in transformation and integration planning. Stephen built extensive leadership experience from his 20 years with a large Canadian bank spent in diverse business and corporate leadership roles and holds an MBA from the Richard Ivey School of Business. Stephen takes a pragmatic, collaborative, and results-oriented approach to leadership and has a deep commitment to aligning strategy, talent, and enablers to deliver clearly differentiated client value. Stephen, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Jason. That was a nice intro.
That's the whole that's the event. It's the whole the bio is amazing, and I love. We're going to touch upon this, but I just love the fact that you're at the forefront of transformation. It seems to be transformation as a mega trend for the world, for how we do business, but I think that's going to be a North Star for us. But we're gonna dive in. We're gonna get wonky. We're gonna talk about like entrepreneurship, business ownership, cash flow, optimizing cash flow for your business. So my first question is really simple. Like, what are the most common cash flow challenges that small businesses face today, and how can they address these issues effectively?
Yeah, I think it's just really hard to manage cash flow now. Like if you just start from externally what business owners are dealing with right now, it's just a tremendous amount of uncertainty. You've got geopolitical uncertainty. You've got, a bit of a wonky economy. You've got, still high interest rates. They're starting to come down, but they're still very high historically. You've got, recent run-up of inflation. You've got an enormous transformation happening in technology that impacts all business owners, including social media, cybercrime, everything. And so it's just all of this uncertainty. It's just overwhelming. And you're trying to navigate and make decisions and run your business through there. And I think it just creates an enormous challenge that at the end of the day, it's pretty hard to make money right now. And so just trying to make all of the decisions to optimize it and be profitable and manage your cash flow right now is really hard.
Wow, so that's a really that's like an existential challenge. It's just hard to make money. If you have a business,
Yeah.
it's hard to make money. Like my wife she's a business owner. She has a great, really small clinical psychology practice.
Right.
Her core competency is like she's one of a great therapist in the city, but she has a business now. So there are like metrics, indicators coming at her, and she's not like an expert in business stuff. So in your experience, I'm a business owner. Like if I was a business owner, what are some of the financial metrics or indicators that business owners should just keep track of just to ensure that they have a healthy cash flow?
Yeah. So, I mean, like your wife in that case, like most business owners are expert in something, and that's where their passion is, and they're out there and they're driving value that grows their business, but they're not accountants. Their expertise on the financial side is not the same. That's not where they want to spend their time. They want to be in kind of delivering value to their clients. And so when you look at the financial side, there are a number of key metrics because ultimately you're trying to make sure you're making money and that you can make payroll and that you can pay that invoice next week. And so you can look at things of understanding how cash is moving around and what's the efficiency of your cash conversion. So things like margins matter, but also things like inventory turnover. How quickly are you receiving payments? What's your timing of when you're making payments? All of that has to be quite planned out to make sure you're the most efficient in how you're managing your cash. And it's not just even about profit, it's timing matters too. Like you can be profitable and then wake up one day and say, I can't make payroll tomorrow, just because you weren't on top of how the money was moving around. So there's a number of financial tools and metrics that you can watch to make sure are you managing your cash flow the right word's probably efficiently?
Wow. So that's really interesting because it takes me to my next question, which is you just described a lot of different types of metrics like margin, like how fast you're making money, how fast money's getting out the door. But my question is always like, but entrepreneurs are like they're kind of nuts to make businesses. They want big things for themselves. They want to make impact, all of these things. So how do you manage sort of like all those metrics? How do you manage short-term cash flow, making sure you could at least make payroll on Friday? But on the flip side of that, have a growth strategy, invest in the growth strategy, and do that despite the fact that you nailed it. Like this is a weird time. So
Right.
how do you do all those things right now?
Right. I mean, you need to have a plan, and then all of these pieces need to align your plan to the plan to make sure that you've got what you need when you need it, and cash is the most important thing. And there's lots of tools that are out there right now. There's a lot of financial tools to help both aggregate that information, but also give you line of sight and insights into how to make decisions based on that information. And then I'd say in combination of that, it's leveraging, partners and advisors around you that can help with the things that you're not an expert in. But there's a lot now available to business owners that you can kind of take in. Like when we were talking about before, you can't control all of that stuff that's going on outside in the world that's making it hard. So you got to focus on what you can control. And there's a lot of tools that are available to have better line of sight to how the business actually is delivering on the financial side, how cash flow is moving, and that you're managing things in the best way. And so I think leveraging those tools, but also tapping into a network of trusted advisors is the two-pronged approach.
So I mean that's a really good bridge into my next question, which is so what are these tools? Because you pointed to sometimes an entrepreneur will start and they won't really have anyone. It'll just be themselves
Mhm.
and then maybe hopefully they have a co-founder. But um, in terms of the digital tools, usually the first thing will be a thing I find on the internet. That's probably going to be the first thing that helps me. So in
Yeah.
terms of a digital tool, what are some digital tools that have transformed the way businesses do cash flow? And what innovations are you excited about right now in this space?
Right. So, most businesses would use some kind of accounting software. And so then it's like, okay, you've got all of the information, a fairly seamless way of keeping track of your business. And then you've got access to information. I think where the innovations are going now, it's like, okay, well, what tools do you have to help you interpret that information, to flag things to you, to say, hey, watch this, watch that, and it also is more real time, and so some of that is the integration
Mm,
of the accounting tools with the banking tools, so you've actually got a real-time picture. But the extra layer is when you can add other tools on to say, hey, look over here, you got a problem, or you better be thinking about this, or you've got an opportunity over here. You could make more money if you kind of leaned in over here a bit more. And so I think that's where there's this evolution of tools, and we offer some of our clients like other tools as well around, things around valuing their business
mm.
and other pieces around kind of helping them manage their cash flow that um, there's just been a tremendous amount of innovation in that area that brings uh, more to business owners to help them run their business. But I can understand, like all technology, that can be pretty overwhelming as well.
So that's interesting though, like the valuing of a business, it's almost like, is it like a dashboard where you plug in some of your numbers and it gives you a
Yeah.
value? Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you've got like your accounting system integrated with your banking system, it's got all the information, and it can look at things like, your particular industry and other things, and you can add some extra pieces of information. It can kind of give you a sense of where you stand. Yeah.
Wow. And this takes me to my next question about like banks. Banks have lots of trust built into them. Like obviously, like I'm with a bank and I've been with that bank since I was a kid. So obviously, if I formed a business, I'd probably want to work with that bank. So there's an incumbency kind of trust halo that comes with that. On the flip side of that, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. You can go on the Apple App Store right now. There's probably 98 fintech options for me to start my business right now. So the question is, like how do you bridge that? How do you sort of go like because you're kind of
Mm.
competing with some of these fintech solutions too. So how do you take the rise of fintech solutions? How do they leverage them and sort of like improve or like add value to sort of traditional banking processes as well? Like how do you streamline both of these sort of like these
Yeah.
different streams?
A lot of it is how easy is it for the business owner to actually drive value out of these tools? So, like, if I've got 57 apps on my phone, that's great. How many do you actually use? Um,
One,
is it actually making your life easier or harder, right? And so, s- sometimes it's about how do these things sync together and actually drive value for the business owner and being easy to use and understandable is a key value. So, as a bank, we actually partner with fintechs in a number of cases. Like,
mm,
we partner with Brim on our credit cards, and they have great digital tools that we can integrate with our tools. And so, in a lot of cases, we seek out partnerships to actually make it easier for our systems to work with their systems so that we can bring a simpler toolkit that's integrated to business owners. And so, in a lot of cases, we have the same interest of bringing that value to the business owner. And then I'd also say for business owners that relationships still matter even in digital age. And so um, you know, it matters. You might be able to press a button and have accounting software print all your statements out but it still matters to have a relationship with an accountant for advice. And I'd say
yes.
financial advisors are the same. And so having, people, a relationship with a bank and they've got history with you is one thing, but it's also people that actually know you, understand your business, and that can grow with you and give you advice to help you over those hurdles of growth because the challenges get different and bigger as you go and you're making bets all the way along the way and so as an entrepreneur even when you're successful you've got to decide, okay, am I going to push all the chips in for that next stage of growth? And so this is where financial advice really matters too.
So that's actually my question is about this that next phase. Like, say I have my construction business. I'm living the dream. I'm using the digital tool, and all of my metrics seem to be on the right track. Pretty decent on cash flow. My margin is really, really good. I'm getting paid on time, and I'm invoicing properly. Okay, so I'm now ready to launch my cookie business on top of my construction business. Cookies and construction, it's the two C's. Um, how do I get that working capital? Like I want to take some of this money. I want to leverage it. I want to get out there. How do I invest in growth, but then not put the fact that my operations are fine right now? And how do I make sure that I don't put my business or core business at risk?
That is probably one of the biggest areas where um, businesses struggle, where it's the next thing, and
Yeah.
then they aren't prepared for what they get into, and they actually break where the successful part of the business in doing the next piece. And so, yeah, I think that it all comes back again to the quality of the plan. And so it's that this is where the information really matters. It also kind of comes into how well you've kind of set things up that are you running the core business the most efficient possible? Are you leaving money on the table? Are you the most liquid that you can be?
Mm,
And also, have you thought through your plan B of when things struggle? Do you have some room? What would you do? Do you have a cushion? Um, can you manage, or are you instantly in trouble? Those are some really important things to think through to make sure, um, because nobody can plan perfectly. Like, look at the world. The world is not going to work out the way that you project. So you've got to have flexibility in the plan. And if you don't have your arms around the numbers and everything, you don't know which levers and things you're going to pull when things change, because they will change.
And that's a really great point about just are are your margins good enough? Are you actually like it's that thing about like, you're running, but are you running? Like, are you
Right.
really, really running? And then I was watching this metric about just like during the financial crisis, this idea of like banks, like your bank, like banks being awesome at like expected losses, but then unexpected losses is just this other
Yeah.
metric that is very, and then an unexpected loss is like financial, all of a sudden that's pretty catastrophic. My question then is about like, so banks, like obviously, the relationship that an entrepreneur has with their bank, I have with my bank, it's really important and it's very sticky. Like people stay with banks for
Mhm.
decades. So my question is two-pronged. It's if I'm going to you, like, what kind of services should I ask for my bank to help me on this entrepreneurial journey? And then the second piece is you're at the forefront of transformation. You've been working on transformation a lot for financial organizations, and needs are changing like so rapidly, so quickly. So what are the table stakes? Like what should I expect from my bank? And the other is how do you keep up with my expectations?
Right. So, I mean, I'll step back and like we're a business, and we've chosen to focus on a certain client segment, as many businesses do, because we think that's where we can add the most value, and that's where we can kind of align the whole organization to the best winning recipe to add value for entrepreneurs, for us. And we're competing against behemoth banks. And so we're the small business in the financial services space, right? And so you have to be focused. You have to be very clear. It's like, am I going to try and be everything to everyone? You know, can I spread my investment and my own attention span across trying to compete with Royal Bank and everything? Um, so we've chosen to be hyper focused because we think we can, through that focus, align and take away that scale advantage of the big guys in a space. And so, and then because we're a business offering services to business owners, I like to think we think like them, and that we can kind of see, well, what challenges are they dealing with? How do we help them? And a lot of that within our business, and it's enabled by digital tools, especially when you're dealing with small business owners. You can't necessarily have as much face time as you do with a corporate company. But you're trying to understand that business and give them tailored advice. And so it's not just off the shelf, one size fits all. Here's the box, get in it. It's about what's the best um, path for your business that's going to create the most value for you. And obviously, there's a lot of things. And when we talk about cash flow management tools, like this is something that's valuable for everyone, but the actual plan and what you focus on and where a specific business can drive value from, that's actually quite bespoke to that business. And so it's about how do you align bringing advice and these tools that actually get quite a customized solution for that specific business.
Wow. And I love that. Like, you're walking the talk. Like you're in that sort of same. And it's so funny thinking about just like the sort of the incumbent that the competitive advantage of the incumbency and the scale. So
Mhm.
trying to figure out a way to sort of like take that advantage away and being hyper focused on how you help businesses is just a really good strategy. And also just the yeah, like I mean, cash flow is going right back to the core of it. That's are you making money or not? Like that's the thing. Like you're you're
Yeah.
you're running this business. Is it working or not? And I think being part of that sort of process for an entrepreneur, it's the most important process. It's a really quick way to build trust, and I think that that's phenomenal.
Well,
Um,
you've got a situation right now where, you know, a lot of businesses were bruised coming out of the pandemic. And so that was, and we had the hyperinflation. You had a really difficult time. Well, we've just transitioned into a kind of a different difficult time. Um, but there's also, a lot of businesses, their financial history was challenged during that period. And so now when you're working with a financial partner and you're trying to get capital to grow, you know, um, and the most recent history is a little bruised. And so this is where having the most clear plan that you can demonstrate, I've got my arms around this business. I know exactly, how, where I'm making money and how I'm making money. And you can trust me when I say I'm going to do ABC and deliver this growth. Like as a financial partner, like this is a two-way street. Whereas a bank, you're kind of going, okay, I have the confidence to give you that extra capital now because you can do this. And you can have great ideas, but if you don't have that kind of handle on the details and can show how it all adds up in the math and that the math works, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough even for a financial advisor to support a business.
Um, I mean, that's a really fascinating kind of downstream insight. So did you notice that with like your customer base? Like they'd be like pretty decent credit, and then pandemic, once in a lifetime thing happens, and another back coming back to you looking for some more support, but then credit kind of beat up a bit. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and
and
then and
are they
then what you see
harshly
is the
judged for that?
differentiation between like a business. It's like, okay, here's where we are. Here's like the challenges we've experienced, and this is our understanding of them. Here's where we're going. Here's what we need, and look at how it all works together. We can do this. And then you've got someone else saying, well, it was hard. We don't really know what happened, but
Right.
we can figure it out. Just give us more money.
Yeah.
And it's, those are different conversations, right? And so and it's part of the advisor's role to kind of talk through that and help people figure it out. But I mean, there's a lot, again, it's what can the business owner control about having
Yeah.
the strongest possible plan?
And even that, like even that first piece you have where you just kind of walk through, there's an acknowledgement of X, but then you have a plan to get to Y
Right,
and then Z. What's so interesting about that is that in the end, it still points to that North Star of that original plan. Like everyone
yeah,
has this goal and objective for their business, and there was a hiccup, once in a lifetime hiccup, but we're still going to figure out a way to get there, and here's how. And I think that confidence probably makes a huge difference in these rooms when they're trying to take
right.
advantage of the capital you offer. So this takes me to my final question. I know what is next for, so two-pronged. What is next for Canadian Western Bank? Drop it. Any new products you're launching? Tell us what they are. Tell the audience first time right here. And the second is what is next for you as we close out the year, and anything you're excited about in 2025.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now we're continuing our focus on driving value for our clients and trying to offer something really unique for our clients. Why would they choose us over, the big banks? And we think we've got something special that adds value. We actually, in big news, National Bank has an agreement to purchase us. And so, we're anticipating when all the approvals are complete that we would become part of the national bank. The neat thing there is when you look at that is
Wow.
what the way they talk about their strategy and the way we talk about our strategy are quite similar. And so we actually kind of can come into their world and close a bunch of the competitive gaps that we had against the big banks where we were kind of competing at a bit of a disadvantage. Well, they close all those disadvantages and they aspire to shake up the big five. And now all of a sudden you'll have a big six. And so for us,
Wow.
I think that's a really cool opportunity for our teams to kind of, um, you know, join forces, get all of this the extra products and tools and their advantages of the more scale that they have to allow us to take our approach and what we bring to clients and actually drive more value.
That's like and also like a kind of a coast to coast, east to
Yeah.
west. Like
And the name's perfect, National Bank,
that's it. That's it. So, and then my final question, like, what's coming up for you? Like, what's coming up with the new year? Anything you're excited about and you want to share with the audience today?
Oh, well,
Well, there's a merger. This is just
yeah, and
acquisition.
I'm playing a key role from the Canadian Western Bank side in kind of coordinating the planning around preparing for the merger. And we announced just recently that the Competition Bureau has actually blessed the transaction, and so things are moving along. So I have that ensuring that we bring the two organizations together in a way that unlocks the promise of what it could mean, of what we can do in the marketplace, and what it means for our clients and teams. And so that's important to me of
Mm,
making sure that that goes well. But also in the meantime, we're still a bank with clients that we are supporting through a really challenged time. And so what we're talking about here is people are navigating um, trying to be profitable and grow in this period. We can't lose sight of our clients and teams in the meantime, that we're hyper focused on that as well.
wow. And so obviously you're at the forefront of lots of transformation. Is it going to be like, oh, they use Zoom and we use Microsoft Teams? Like that
Okay.
sounds like it's a massive
There's,
job. Like,
there's like, you've got to go through everything about, well, how's this going to work?
yeah.
What's this mean? How do we equip our teams to be successful? And you know, the North Star, I like your wording when you're talking about, is like, as long as you just think about the clients through all this, it's like, okay, how do we make sure we don't lose sight of the clients and that this is smooth for them, and that we bring all of this additional value that are going to be available for our teams to bring to our clients. Is if you keep your eye on the client, it'll all work out.
And I love that. Like, the world is the way that it is, but this idea, the hyper focus on the client, pointing to that kind of
Yeah,
makes things just like you said, a lot easier, a lot simpler. There's a clarity to that.
absolutely.
Stephen, thank you for joining us. This was great. But looking forward to learning more about that acquisition. That's going to be really great to read about in the business media like us. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time, and looking forward to connecting again in the future.
Great. Thank you very much, Jason. Really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Talk soon.